We're getting right into it, starting a little late, just hitting the rest of the buttons, folks. Enjoy some music and kitty cats while I continue doing that. Too many buttons to press, just too many buttons. Oh dear. So for those of you that didn't see the starting notification, pushing another button, one moment. Make sure that that works. For those of you that didn't see the topic and are joining from like YouTube or Twitch, although twitching quite a bit there. We're going to be trying out the Godot engine. We're going to see if I still remember how to code. It's been a bit since I did like Noida modding and whatnot, since I did that professionally. Should be interesting, but before we do get into that further, let's check in with the kitties. We have Ember top center, Sherbet upper right, he's on the desk too. Sky upper left, and then Mason and Sammy left center. We have all of them visible right now. All of the kitties are present. A rarity this early. Let's see, let's keep on the double there. Double check something here. Still seems to be working. Hey there, Lumi. Welcome. Just getting started, so you're here right on time. If you're not aware or you didn't hear, we're gonna try out some coding today. So it's gonna be relatively chill, a little bit well, a lot of bit of music. Just louder than anticipated there. Let's lower that a bit. But yes, hello. We do have plenty of time to chat if you'd like to do that, so feel free. I don't know why I can't stretch a tile map. Can I do that? Wonder what that does. I don't know what that does. So we're going to be looking at tutorials as well. I'm not familiar with the toolkit. Godot engine uses a lot of things that are similar to Unity, so I recognize some of this from when I dabbled in that. But the particulars are their own thing. So we'll have to see how that go. Got our little node structure here. Ultimately, I would merge some of those things or reorganize them. Godot, from what I can tell, is everything is like a tree structure. So this core node doesn't really do anything other than contain the entirety of the scene. The texture rectangle is this little gray grid in the background here. Then I have a tile map, which contains all these blocks, which will be our collision zone. I'll delete you. Just make another generic one. I'm gonna add a sprite 2D to it. And we're gonna put this ball here. Drag that into view. And doublet scale. Yeah, let's do that. Longer term, I would try to make all of the sprites have the same scale by default. Whether I do sprite art or like vector stuff, you wouldn't want to transform it so that you keep the lines consistent. Like We're hoping that it will be. We're starting out with the tutorials we're going to be working with today are very much baby's first Godot game. So we're going to make kind of a little bouncing platformer kind of thing. There will be some code, but a lot of this is going to be learning some intro stuff about the engine. So I will be flipping back and forth with our tutorial structure here. To make sure that we've got everything we need. We won't be doing sprite animation yet. I do intend to try some vector art, stuff like this instead of sprite art. I would like to get into that, but that's taking a moment. Let's see, what did they do here? Yeah, we're learning, Tass, and welcome, Tass. We are learning. So, like I did warn folks, there's gonna be a lot of, hey, let's look at the tutorial. We're past setting up the project. We're gonna mess with the player scene here. Okay, they're doing it as a full new scene. Let's see. We don't want a node. We want a whole new object here. It was... switch back over to player here. There we go. We're going to make this a separate scene, and then we're going to use the player as a node in that scene. How to do. Node. Well, we'll start with just messing with that. We'll figure that out later in the tutorial here. We'll just go to our... switch over to our player scene. So we have a sprite. Okay. So we select this one. Then okay, so this should lock them together. No, it's... We'll find out. We'll find out. We are streaming on Twitch at the same time, Lumi. My primary streaming platform is YouTube. We're simul streaming to Twitch and also to TikTok. The TikTok streams are the lowest resolution, so if you do want to see them at a little bit of higher fidelity for all of the detail that you're going to get out of a Twitch stream, or out of a coding stream, then feel free to switch over. I do have chat feeding to all of them, so it really comes down to whatever platform you enjoy watching most on. That's the goal here. All right. scale case, which is fun. Functions use snake case. Ah. I mean, I get the all caps for constants. Hey there, August. I can get a little chilly outside, yeah. I'm currently in the midst of, winter, maybe early spring, but mostly winter. Can get chilly. I do prefer it cold. I prefer it cold. Anyhow. So, GD script, which we'll be using a lot during this, and really for anything, ideally for anything that interacts with Godot's engine, we'll be using GD script. It's kind of Python-y, from what I can tell. I would like consistent variable handling, but we're gonna roll with it. Need sprite animation right now. We can scale stuff we have. Okay, we just need a sprite. Why that player node looks different. That's still a player node of that type. Still looks right. August, this is Godot engine. It is one of the big indie gaming engines, or at least game development engines. It has leapt back into popularity thanks to Unity's recent issues. So we want a collision shape. It complains must be provided for collision shape 2D to function. Circle shape. Everything at 0, 0, just to be sure. Go to our collision shape, and we're gonna right about there. The actual coding is going to be, at least initially, in GD script. So, like I was saying just a moment ago, kind of Python-y. Frankly, it's whatever. I'll roll with whatever for the GD script. Eventually, if I start getting into stuff that requires some, like, background heavy computational stuff like I've done with some of these others, or at least more time-consuming things that are very algorithmic, then I'll probably write some C# stuff and graft that in. But for now, it should be fine. So we have the sprite object, we have the collision object. Save that. Save you for now. Pop up here. All right, so now we're going to get into some of the scripting here. What are we attaching? right, let's scrap this and start again. Delete this one. We'll delete this whole thing. We're gonna new scene. Rid of you, close you. Delete that since we're not looking at it. Other, and it is a node. It's not a node 2D. Did they want it to be? There's a lot going on here. But we're learning. You can all learn along. You can all learn along. Well, you and me both there, August. Okay. So we're going to make it inherent. Okay, this is an area 2D. So if we look for that, we hold our hand on the keyboard, right? That's why it was different. So this is a region in space. Okay, so call you player. What does it not like? So we're gonna add. Yeah. Okay, hotkey there. We're gonna use a sprite. We would use an animated sprite, but we don't have one of those set up. I'm not gonna spend much time getting. I'm not gonna download default resources, and I'm just gonna use some basic stuff that I whipped up for the stream real quick. I've got those loaded down here. We'll roll with that. Okay, so we make a sprite 2D. We drop the texture into the texture field. This is something that we do see with some new engines, Unity and the like, is that they essentially expose variables on the object and let you use a visual interface to drop stuff in. So in the background, there is logic going on here that says this texture that is in this folder is going to be defaulted into this variable in the player object. Okay, so we zoom in, we've got the sprite, talks about the sprite. We're going to add a collision shape 2D. That, we're not going to use capsule, we're going to use a circle since we got a circle right now. Okay, and since it has a shape, the area doesn't complain anymore. Okay. That, okay, we save as player, and we're going to put that in our nodes folder because I don't like everything in the root folder. Why must everything default to the root folder? We do have a Git repository set up to save this stuff off between streams. In case I inevitably, mess up and delete it, or Sky decides to grab the mouse at a bad opportunity. Okay, so we're going to attach a script to the player. Okay, anything default that we want. Your first time encountering GD script, read scripting languages before continuing. Yeah, we'll get to Visual Studio Code later. Or some sort of horrible fungus task. Roots spreading everywhere. Oh. Object-oriented. One of the things I don't like about GDScript is it is very loosely typed. You can force it to be typed, and we're going to force it to be typed as often as possible. Hey there, barbed wire. Good to see you again. Welcome. Stretch. Beverage. Okay, this is just essentially the, what are we up to? So we're going to be using GD script. I kind of like some of the implications of calling it a GD script. GD scripting languages. That joke's probably never been made. Exactly, Tass, exactly. All right. Plate default, inherits area 2D. Okay. Okay, we're going to have a speed variable made visible. So that's what this at export means. That should show up in the UI once I do it. I don't like the implications of this. It sounds like the screen boundaries are going to be defined in the player object, but whatever. Let's pull this over for now. It looks like there's some defaults here. So every frame, when it first appears, I believe we're going to have a bunch of those. I thought I saw a place that we could look at that. Somewhere where I could see that. There was like a listing of functions that were available on a particular type. There we go. So you have all of these methods that you can do based on what is available here. So this player object area 2D has all these methods. A collision object 2D has these. It's a canvas item. There are some good ones available, Barbed Wire, as far as getting started. This kind of thing is actually, I think, a good way to do it, because there's a lot of, like, the hello world for this kind of thing is a little meatier. Like, you get something that feels tangible. A lot of the tutorials for these sort of engines result in a simple platform game or similar. So the end result, once you've done it, feels like you actually made a thing, as opposed to a Hello World app, which generally is nothing. Most of those can be like wrapped up in, I mean, if you're doing a console app, that's one line of code. You know, execute program, print, command line print kind of stuff. You're doing more in these, but the workflow is still simple enough that you can get a grasp for what you're up to. Yeah. Nightbot says, don't give me spoilers for the code. Yep, see it in the inspector. Okay. We are not using C#, so we don't have to worry about doing a compile yet. Exactly, Tess. For this stream, spoilers are okay. Okay. Well, at least... Hey there, Squishy! Welcome to the coding stream. And as a reminder, folks, if you do see me talking to... Or if you hear me, or observe me speaking, when you can't see who it is I'm talking to in chat or what I'm responding to, it's probably in one of the other two chats. There are 3 streams going on at once here. So I generally try to repeat questions and whatnot. Or in the sense of Earth Defense Force 5, ignore the radar, perceive them with your eyes. Okay, so in the ready function. Oh, I'm not a fan of this kind of structure. Okay, so apparently GD script, like the Lua script that we were dealing with for Noida, uses indentation for function bodies. So the fact that this is tabbed over one block means it's part of function ready. That's it. That's what makes that true. I like curly braces. What's wrong with curly braces? It is distinct. It is absolute. Scripting languages, man. Anywho, the presence or absence of curly braces and whether the curly braces should begin on the subsequent line, followed by the code on a subsequent line, whether you should, all that kind of stuff is a programmer holy war. If you work in software development or you just encounter software developers and you want to get close to starting a fist fight, ask all of them at once about the how many spaces a tab should have. And then duck under a table. Because at that point, knives are probably coming out. One thing I did like reading about this is that there are ways to expressly declare variables as particular types. Like, there is a statement that you can put at the top of the file where you can say, this script defines an object. So, like, every node can have a single script. And if that script has a kind of a class name declaration, then the code can refer to an object of that explicit type. So it will then interact with it as that type, and anytime that the engine tries to set, it will demand that type. It will fail as if it were a strongly typed language. I like that option. It's not just, treat it like an int because you really need it to be an int kind of thing. Okay. Check for input, move in the given direction, play the appropriate animation. We'll get to animations later. Input map. Okay. Project settings. Input map tab. There we go. I have concerns about this. Move right. We'll go with what the tutorial is claiming here first. Okay. Okay. Right key. I see. Move left, up, and down. Okay. Typing. All right. Keys, yep. Okay, so this can be a very dangerous structure to use. What they're asserting to use for input, but we're doing a very simple input. One of the things that this structure does is if I am moving diagonally, you actually move faster than if you move isn't it orthogonally? So left, right, up, and down are slower than the intercardinals, you know. So up and right is slightly faster than right or up. The whole, you know, Pythagorean theorem kind of nonsense. But anyway. So this is going into process. We'll just paste this in. So looking at it here. Yeah. A couple of years ago, I was experimenting with Unity. One of the roadblocks I ran into was that the mono compiler for Unity, the C# compiler, was at least a good version number older than what was available at any given time, and they really dragged their feet updating it, which meant that a lot of the packages that were available for things like streaming integrations didn't work with it. Like, you needed to be able to use a newer compiler to get them to run, which was a problem, since a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do was to be able to integrate like Stream Chat, which led to me using weird multi-hop kind of integrations. Normalized time speed. Okay. Never used vector math before. Ideally, what you'd try to come up with, since we're using these keys, there's a limit. But ultimately, with these kind of keys, what you'd want is to also have the intercardinals covered. Since with the keystrokes here, you don't have like the key is half pressed, the key is pressed or not. Good question, Rob. Are you saying that the stream is behind? Or are you saying that you arrived? Yeah. That does happen now and again, is that if the stream has been in like a tab where you aren't looking at it actively, sometimes the page will kind of pause it. I'm guessing so it's not wasting bandwidth on you. Or something. Who knows? Nah. That's the play and stop. So if it were an animated sprite, we would be animating or not animating. I'm guessing this $sign is look for the child of this type. So when we start really getting into this, we're going to be avoiding this kind of notation. We're going to be doing things like expressly setting this is the player object's animated sprite, so that instead of referencing it as a vague sense, we are going to be saying the player sprite animated. Yeah. $sign is shorthand for get node. So current object get node that is a sprite 2D. Yeah. We're not doing that. We're not doing that long term. And this is partly why. So in GDScript, it returns the node at the relative path from the current node, or it returns null if the node is not found. That should never be true. So we should be expressly identifying it. If that fails, that is a fatal error. Something has gone terribly wrong, because that child should always be there. We should be referring to it directly. That is effectively allowing the code to say, well, if the ground exists, then we're going to interact with the ground. But if the ground doesn't exist at all, well, let's just do an error trap for that. It's like, nah. Okay. So this is where we're actually going to apply movement. The player's position. Hey there, Charlie. Not Charlie. Welcome to the Godot intro tutorial stream. Okay. This is an interesting way to try to handle it. It is basically like coding, Charlie. The language we're going to be messing with today is GDScript. It is the Godot engine's base scripting language. We're going to be doing plenty of that, and if this keeps going, I hope it does, we'll probably mix in a little bit of C# here and there. I'm reminded XKCD does a webcomic that is awesome. If you've never seen it, XKCD is a webcomic by Randall Munroe. I love their sense of humor. There was one that was about it was somebody found out that the school's enrollment system was just like direct SQL. Like it was inserted directly into SQL. And they had a enrollment form that was effectively an SQL statement for, name, close quote, close parens, drop table. We'd like to talk to you about this admission for your child, code block. Ah, yes. Little drop table. Droppy tables, the other kids call them. so let's look at that. We have screen size, player object space inspector has, so the exposed speed value. Where is position though? Which little thing? Like the thing the thing in the window down here? That thing? Ah, okay. Here, let's zoom in a bit for that. I always like the opportunity to show off. That is the Nano core. The beating heart, as it were, of a nanotype. Okay, so let's look at this here. Where is position coming from? Ah, okay, Charlie. Okay. Where are you coming from? I don't like that I don't know where position is from. It's not part of the transform of node 2D. This like a universal? What kind of cereal? Ah, okay. It is the position of the sprite 2D. Does the collision shape have that too? Okay. You're a 2D shape. Why don't you have that? Oh, no, it does. Okay. Okay. All of these have a position. Delta seems to be... Okay, yeah, that's coming in from the process function. This is the time since the last frame. So we're going to use that as a multiplier on the velocity to move. And then this next statement is so that it's going to limit the position based on the screen size. Which is an internal variable here. What's the question there, Charlie? Six. So we can see the center of it is hitting the edge. I don't know, can you guys see this? So ideally it would be if it hit the edge, like collided with it. I have not tried Roblox, Charlie. That was after my time for the most part. And in my readings and watchings related to Roblox, I greatly dislike their business model and their practices. It is essentially Minecraft, but way more predatory. Animations, we're not going to be doing that just yet. Okay, this is going to conceal the player when it starts, so we have no player object visible. Now, technically, I wonder if it's still moving, though. All right. Public partial class player extends area 2D. Okay. So this is defining this script that represents this object as a class called player that extends area 2D. We're making a simple it's going to end up being like a little walk around kind of top-down shooter based on what I see in the tutorial. But for the most part, we're making an object that moves around in space and bumps into edges. So if, like, we run the program again. Oh, something's wrong here. Expected identifier. Where's our stop? Where's our stop? Stop. Oh no, I'm misreading that. This is what I would put if it were C#, which would make sense. Well, I appreciate that, Charlie. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So I don't miss any chat here. Okay, so this is signal hit. Custom signal called hit that we will have our player emit when it collides with an enemy. We use area 2D to detect collision. Player and click the node tab next to the inspector to see a list of signals they can emit. Okay. So our player, player node, the node tab, and body entered. Like that. Okay, on body entered. Got it. All right, have a good day, Charlie. Signals connected to this function. Okay. This is... There's some shorthand going on. This is event-based coding here, where we have... This is effectively registering a function. So we have a function called onBodyEntered. Somewhere in the background, there is a event trigger out in the world that says, this is when a collision is detected. When a collision is detected with this object, call this function. So in the background, some sort of registration has occurred here. Player gets hidden. It's going to emit a hit. Then collision shape 2D set deferred, disabled, true. Okay. So we're deferring it because this is in the middle of physics handling. We can't make the object that is involved in the physics handling go away when we're reacting to an event related to that object being handled in physics. That makes sense. Don't like that syntax, but we're going to keep going. Right. Just going to add this in here. Okay. Set deferred. We're going to... So this object, collision shape 2D, we're going to delay this until we're allowed to change it. This is essentially kind of a wait call until it's allowed to do it. It's going to call this function, identified by a string. This is dangerous. It's going to say set disabled equal to true as soon as we're able to interact with this shape. I don't know what that might be doing in the background. That seems dodgy. But I'm not sure how we do it differently at this time. We'll see. Set that. I'm going to go above all of our default functions here. Add that one. So this is prepping it. It'll say you appear at this position. I'm sorry, you're set to this position. We show the object and we make you collidable. Okay. So we have a red ball. Let's do this. Make them purple. I like purple. That. Hey there, Battle Droid. Welcome. Bother me if I don't get that right. There we go. Okay. Enemies are purple balls. We are learning how to use Godot in the most simple form. We're pretty much following along mostly step for step with a basic tutorial. Scene. Yeah, another area 2D, I believe, right? Rigid body 2D. I get to jam out to my playlist, if nothing else. It also needs a collision shape and a visible on-screen notifier. Shape. So okay, that's how you do that. Okay. Let's go back over to player here. I'm going to set you to be the one that can be selected. Okay. By setting this and turning it off on these, it means that if I click on it, I click the parent object. So it drags the whole mess around instead of letting me grab a child object and potentially break it. Right? Rigid body. Gravity scale 0. Okay, So it's a rigid body. We don't want it falling down. And the collision grouping. Uncheck the 1 in the mask property. Mobs don't collide with each other. Okay. Okay. Don't need the walk loop. Body, yeah. Ready is setting up the animations. I don't care about the animations. We'll do some of that later. This is giving them a different set of animations randomly, so there's some visual variety. Some animation names. So then 0, 1, or 2. Let's see, screen exited signal on the visible on screen identifier. Okay. Score 3. So this is set it up to be removed. Okay. Then we're going to... Okay, now we're going to be making the game screen. Just going to add a generic node called main. Mob timer, score timer, start timer, and start position. So 3 timers. marker 2D. Wait time property each timer. Mobs are being updated every half second, score every second, and start is 2. See, timers also have an auto start and a one shot. I'm guessing, one shot is stop counting after you fire once. Idle and physics. Timer will automatically start when entering the scene tree. Okay, there's no kickoff for it. It's as soon as the timer exists in the current tree, then it will begin counting. Okay. One shot is essentially don't loop. Okay, we're going to change that since I'm using a different structure here. It's going to be 320 by 160. So I've set the dimensions of the screen to 640 by 320. Small window. So right now the stream is 1080p. This is, a fraction of that. 720p, next smallest. This is half of that. Yeah. It's not right. It's not right. 360. That's 180. Math. Simple math. Main nobles will be spawning new mobs, and we want them to appear at random locations on the edge of the screen. Path 2D mob path. Ooh. Middle one, add point, and draw the path by selecting the corners in clockwise order from the upper left. Use smart sticks, grid snap, and smart snap. Okay. So it's having inwards in this box. Well, something about going clockwise does that. Okay. Snap in that. I'm going to do. Then we close the curve. Okay. Not sure what this doing so far, but we'll find out. There's some logic to that, but maybe we'll see in some of the subsequent code. Add a path follow 2D node as a child of mob path and name it mob spawn location. Odd name for it. Automatically rotate and follow the path as it moves, so we can use it to select a random position and direction along the path. Oh, okay. So the spawn point is, we have defined a path, and now we have an entity that's following that. The spawn point is rotating around the screen. Okay. Interesting. Script to main. Okay, so we're declaring a variable mob scene, and we're saying it's a packed scene, which is a type of object in Godot, the one of these objects here. Okay, so then if we click on main in the inspector, we now have mob scene, and we're going to pass mob scene to it. Yep, or we can load it manually, or we can just drag and drop it. Okay. Follow. Suddenly player is here. When did player get here? Click the instance button. Where's instance button? Instantiate. It's not an instance button. That's an instantiate child scene button. Those are two very different concepts. Its own scene. It's got scripts. And it has connections. Select you, we open nodes. Signals tab selected in the node dock. Yep, signals. We're going to connect it. This will create that in main on player hit. So we're going to put these. We have new game and game over. So the on game over, the score stops ticking, the mob handling stops ticking. New game, we reset the score. We reset the player position. Get into player. Yeah, we set their starting position, we make them appear, and we enable their collision. Save that mess. Okay. Not what we wanted to do. Not on player hit. It's gonna go main player. Disconnect that method. We are going to connect it. Game over in the receiver method. Yum. Okay. It's hit. Then in mains code, we're gonna those again. Go into the player's script. We're going to disconnect that. Okay, but now it's connected. Now it's connected. That's what we wanted. So variable score. There we go. There's that error. The timers are timeout. Start score in mob timer. Score timer increases the score. Shockingly. So we're going to take this variable, this member variable of the main scene, and it's going to be incrementing. Every time the game starts, it resets the score. I completely blanked there. Sorry there, barbed wire. Or when you're watching on the VOD. So on start, just activating the timers for mob and score. New instance must be added to the scene using add child. Okay. Let's copy this in and then we'll step through it. All right. So we are taking the mob scene that we have loaded in. In main, there is a mob scene here. So we've identified it. Its variable name is mob underscore scene here. So we're creating a new one. We're going to... Ugh. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. So we're getting the mob spawn location object, and we're following a path to it. So we're getting our child that is of type mob path, and then we're getting the child of that is of type mob spawn location, that is named mob spawn location. Ew. Progress ratio random float. So we're picking a random point along that marker. Perpendicular to the path. So the location, get its rotation. It's pi divided by 2. I don't know what rotation is set to. It's pi over 2. It's rotation in degrees, though, right? Yeah. What would adding pi over 2 do? Because it's going to add a little bit of... Are we converting that to a like alternate interpretation there? Like a different variable type? Not sure. Not sure. Okay. Position is mob spawn location position. Okay, so where in the path mob spawn location is. So, okay, we're adding a little bit of tilt to the direction. I don't know why. That should be rotating it slightly to the right when we do this. And then we're rotating it a little bit left or right. Unclear. Unclear. Like this I get. This I don't get. We'll fiddle with that and see what it does. Then the velocity of the mob, its linear velocity as a rigid body, is being set to something between 150 and 250. And then we're rotating it. So we're just messing with one coordinate here. This is a vector that is just the x coordinate. So this is a vector that's going to the right. And then we're rotating it accordingly based on the direction that we created here. Yeah. At this point, we created the direction. So the spawn location, its rotation as it goes around. Okay. And then we add the mob object. All right. Okay, here, why pi? Functions requiring angle. Godot uses radians, not degrees. Pi represents a half turn in radians. Okay, so you could use it differently here. This is a good little tip right here. That's why. Okay. So, all right. So this is the pathway. Pi is a half turn. So if it's pathing around this way, a half turn would face the opposite direction. But a quarter turn, since we're doing pi over 2, is going to face inward each time. That's why we're doing pi over 2. So then we're mixing that up with an eighth of a turn. So it'll wobble a little bit around here. So it's kind of a 45-degree cone-ish that they can arrive in. So they could, from any individual point, they can fly all over. Okay. That makes sense. I like this tip in the tutorial. This is a good tip. So then go to main. We go to main's code. Go to ready. That's the player script. But we do need to keep that hide. We go to main, and we go up to ready. We're going to call new game. Back at our timers here. Start timer timeout. Okay, that's the new game timer. About 2-ish seconds into a new game it triggers. Okay. Yep. So we can see the little purple balls, which it's harder to differentiate. I should have made them like green. But if I touch one, let's see if I can. There. Now the marbles are still going. Why are they still going? So on game over, that should have happened. Game over is called when the player is hit. If we go... It did hide the player. We go into the player scripting. On body entered, we hide, we emit the hit signal, and then we will clear our collision when that happens. So this fired properly, but then hit emit in the main script did this trigger. Put a break on that. Okay, it did. Score timer and mob timer should stop. We're still getting mobs spawning. Is that? Start timer starts them. On start timer, we'll restart them. One shot on the start timer. Missed that. I was talking about one shot. Right, and again. Now you can pause Godot script and edit it. Like I can real-time edit it. Okay. No further critters spawned. We're doing stuff. We're seeing stuff. This is comprehensible. I don't dislike this process. There are conventions we're being shown in the scripting here that I don't like. Like, I don't like some of the behaviors they're showing here as far as coding conventions. Things like generic variable equals search for things of this name. That is waiting for errors. Like, if you change this variable name, this call fails, but it's not because I got this will not find something, but that doesn't make this fail because it's expecting like a mob spawn location object. It's going to fail because this will become a null, and this doesn't care that it's a null. Subsequent things don't care, so we need to have better control over this kind of thing. We should build the code to know that something has exploded and to inform you, as opposed to making it so that we know it can explode, but we're going to assume it never will. Because it's gonna explode all over the place constantly. Move the call to new game from ready and replace it with pass. Okay, so we're going to get into... Now we're getting into territory of... We're probably going to go into UI next. Yeah, user interface. Score, game over message, restart. A new scene at a canvas layer. Add canvas layer. Okay. score. Game over and get into starting and ending message, and a start button. We have labels and buttons. This is very visual UI, or graphical interface language. So button, label, input field, those kind of things. They're both standard conventions for the name, but also like you would see like object types of this. Two labels, a button, and a timer, and be score, message, start, and time. Children of HUD. They're children of the HUD node. Inconsistency. Score label, then just message. Start button. Message time. Score label. Not going to load a different font. We'll see how bad the message font is, and we'll mess with that. Or at least the score label font is, and we'll mess with it. Okay, that would be this being the screen. Let's bump up that text there. Where does it live? Theme overrides. There, that's a good starting point. 36 point something font. I don't know what the default font is, but apparently it doesn't scale well. I don't see that. Anchor presets. Awkward that it's a little to the left like that. Why is it? Center align it. Let's see here. You'll be kind of middle of the screen. You will be about like that. That'll do. So on vertical to center. Makes sense. We'll just say dodge. Center auto wrap at word level. This is 480. Full layout and transform. Okay. 100 by 100. There's a big button. Say that's center bottom. But yeah, that'll have to do. That'll have to do. It's a timer. Wait, time to 2 and 1 shot. Dang it. We'll get this here. Yep, there we go. Whoops. Okay. So we have a script on HUD. And we're going to add a start game signal, which we're going to essentially subscribe to in the main node. So we have a method that we're defining here that other things will be able to call to set the message. So it'll set the message to whatever we give it. It will show the message box, and then it will start the message timer, which is 2 seconds, which I am pretty confident we're about to go in soon, and make it so that when the message timer fires, it will hide the message. This is a show game over event or method. Weird. Okay. Trigger a show message. Oh, we're not subscribing to it. We're waiting. This doesn't seem right. So on game over, we show the game over message. Then we wait until the message timer has timed out. Then we show the dodge. Is this meant to be like the start screen message? Why would we do this? Okay. So I don't like a lot of what we're doing here. This I get. So game over screen, show the game over message. Then we wait for a timeout to happen inside this function. We can just respond to the message timer. We can wait for that to happen because the message timer gets started here. Now we're saying set it to dodge the creeps, show the message, which is what this does. We're creating an extra timeout and we're showing the button. So this is the process, I think, for returning to the start state. But shouldn't we just have a method for show start screen, which would be set the text, that kind of thing? We'll roll with it for now just to get it going, but I don't like this. This in particular, this sequence in particular, is one, it creates a phantom object. This object only exists within this function. This is wait 1 second. This is weird. And does this linger in the tree structure? We'll see. We'll see. If it lingers in the tree structure, that's terrible. Yeah. You need to pause for a brief time. An alternative to using a timer node is to use the scene tree's create timer function. We'll see. HUD has now, will add a update score. So this will be called by main when the score gets incremented to update it. Pressed in timeout on message timer. Nodes. Okay, and then start button pressed. Those connected now. Start button pressed. We're going to emit the start game signal that we prepped a while back. Then when the message timer times out, we hide the message. Yeah. The thing I don't like about this is that this is special case one-off handling. Even though we only do this in one place, having a show the game over screen method would be like show a game over and also a show main screen would be more viable than this, because dodge the creeps with the button present is your main menu screen. That's your start screen. So show the game over and then wait and then show the button. I don't know why we have to wait a second to show the button. You're showing the main menu, show the button. Maybe that's a convention that people have gotten into. I don't know. Okay. So we're going to go back into main and we're going to create an instance of HUD. Okay, node tab, we're going to connect HUD start game to signal to the new game function in the main node by clicking pick to the connect signal. Okay. We've got our main script open. Got our node for HUD. It's start game signal. We're going to pick a function. Is new game. Connect that. New game is now connected to start game. New game score. HUD. Not. There is no IntelliSense for this because we don't know what we're going to get when we talk about HUD. Ugh. Ah. That's why, as we go along, once we get past this point in our learning, one of the things I want to do is start learning the syntax for hearts, for strong typing in this, because you can do it. You don't have to. This is a kind of free and loose scripting language, but you can strongly type in it. You can define types and demand them. I think that's good. Game over. Show game over. score. Yes, okay. If you play until game over and then start a new game right away, the creeps from the previous game may still be on the screen. Group feature. In the mob scene, select the root node. Click the node tab next to the inspector. Let's go to the mob scene then. Okay. Mob scene, we go to node groups. New group name and click add mobs. All mobs will be in the mobs group, and we can add the following line to new game and main. Okay. So this is get the whole node tree. We're going to identify a group. That group is mobs. And we're going to use queue free on them, which is a method that we referenced earlier. Already got that. Don't need audio player. Don't have any sound effects to play right now. Project settings. Start game signal. Do enter key. HUD, we go to start button, create a new shortcut. Shortcut property, create a new shortcut. Scene. Start button. Inspector. Shortcut. Shortcut. The events array and add a new array element to it by clicking on the array input. Input start game. do that? Input event action. Start the game. Without those caps. Accidentally killed it. And if we run the thing, so the score goes up as time passes. If we get hit, the score stops incrementing. This would be the start screen again. I can press enter and it resets. So we've seen pretty much all the basics here. Putting numbers like UI on the screen, taking input. See, we don't have full analog movement. We have 8 directional movement. We're bounded by the screen window here. Okay. Those are our basics. What can we do here? So I feel like we should have a restart timer. Like we could have a start, like show main menu timer or similar. Because show message game over can just happen immediately. So you get hit, it's game over. Then we start a show main menu timer. So we call show game over. That'll make game over last for 2 seconds. That can be independent. Ideally, we have some sort of better lineup to that. We could await show message, but that's part of HUD. It could just be a game over timer where we show game over, we activate a message. I'm sorry, we activate a timer. So if we await timeout, then we have a show main menu. I think that's cleaner. Some of it ideally would just be you have main menu as opposed to you have... so right now we have just one HUD. This is a scene that is part of the game screen. So you have the score, you have the messages, that kind of thing. I feel like that could be its own subscene, and that the actual main menu could be a separate thing that we could show. So we may mess with that in just a moment. It's time for a quick break. I will be right back. We're getting settled back in, folks. Just a moment. Do a quick camera check here. Zoom. Mason and Sherbet being snuggly. Bit of mutual grooming there. Remember some back scratches while we wait here. Wrong button. That button. Okay. Let's at least split this apart. So it's fair, I think, for the HUD to know about message timer, since message timer is part of the whole operation. Even though we're not dealing with a pure kind of object-oriented pattern, I still don't like the idea of objects being too aware of tools that other objects are using for their purposes. Like message timer is really only for the message object. So, or the message part of the UI. But it's kind of core to the behavior of the rest of it. So we're going to leave that. Kind of typing around Ember right now. Oh, there is a colon there. Okay. Like that one-shot timer. You can always put that back, you know, but yeah. Okay. Over. It did not reset the score. Reset. Well, we'll leave that. That wasn't part of it, so it'll show us our last score. That. Yeah, I feel like main menu as a separate entity, essentially a start screen as a separate entity, would be useful. layers of overlay, essentially, or different overlays that we can show at any given time. Because this number is not part of the main menu. This is not the message. This is the title. So how could we do that? Go in and we're going to do new scene. And it'll be the same way as before. It will be a canvas layer. Volume main menu. We look at HUD. Save you, get that out of the way. So there's no score label but there is a start button. Okay, this has the start game signal. We're going to remove the start button here. So then if we go to mains GD script, there's new game, which doesn't have anything going right now. So if we go to the main scene, we should add an instance of main menu. And since main menu has something that exposes let's go back here. Okay. We've got scene main menu open, but we have script main GD here. So we have the HUD's exposed method of score and get ready. Player, and that's restarted. HUD is still okay. So then we do this. Start button, node, signals. Start game, emit. Start signal. So then if we go into the main scene, we go into main menu, we don't see that. Where is it? Okay, main menu doesn't have a script. That's why. Create the script. Go into to HUD. HUD script has signal start game. So on start button pressed. Disconnect that. Don't want to pick it. We want me comment it. Toggle comment. There we go. Nice. Hey there, Murder. Welcome. We are learning Godot. That's why. Main menu. We go into pressed. Start button pressed. Oh. That's why. So we went into main. We put a script on this. That's not what we want. That we put a script on the instance of that. So yeah, we're learning Godot. So there's going to be some coding. Which means we do have plenty of time to chat. I might not notice it, as I might kind of IDE trance out for a bit, but I will try to spot anything you say and react accordingly. So we do have plenty of time. Answer questions, just chat, that kind of thing. Okay. So we got rid of that. We're going to go over to the main menu scene. We're going to add a script to you. That. Now, go into you, say button pressed. There we go. Oh, we don't need to hide the start button. I'm going to emit start game. And HUD will have a start game signal. main menu, we'll have a start game signal. HUD no longer has. Press does still have a score label and a message. Does not have a show main menu. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to remove show main menu from it. Because the show message of game over is going to be tied to the regular game screen. So that should still be okay. To the main script. New game isn't tied to anything. So we're going to go to the main scene. We have main menu, which has a start game signal. We're going to connect. We're going to pick a function to new game. Connect. Okay. Why is game over tied? Ah, no, game over was already connected. That's right. Connected to player gets hit. Oh, I didn't notice this. You can click that, and it shows you which signals are bound to it. Neat. Score is updated. It says get ready. Okay. Wonder. New node. It's a generic node, and it is just a generic node. Here. Take all of this under that node. Is the game screen node. HUD show game over. Just does that for a moment. Then okay, there's something in here for timers. Yeah. Get tree, create timer, timeout. Yeah, I think we can still roll with that. So this is going to have a 1 second timer. We're actually going to... It's 2 seconds for game over to show. Go back into HUD. just going to force this to be game over when it happens. So then in main, when we call show game over, it just shows the game over screen. Then we'll wait 2 seconds for now. And then we will we'll make a function show main menu. Which will really don't like this. Hide it. Pass for now. We had some hide going on in there. Go to the player scene, particularly the player script, and call hide on itself. So does that work? Menu, it's a scene, but not hide. Can we do that? Yeah, show, right? And then main menu script, we will hide. Let's try this here. In main, we show main menu. Oh. Then HUD. Pass. Move HUD under game screen. Main. Then if we go into main menu, no, this is still in main. This is still in main. What did I just do? I'm not super fond of the UI here. Hey there, Lucifer. Welcome. We're messing around with some Godot. It's a game dev engine if you're not familiar. Oh, and sorry, Sed, I didn't see you there for a moment. We are coding a very simplistic game. We're using a Godot tutorial. I'm trying to now go through and kind of spruce it up a little bit. The tutorial has some elements to it that I don't like from a code perspective, so I'm trying to change them, and currently failing. Shows the main menu. Right now, it's just a dodge the things. Longer term, I've got some different ideas. But for now, we're just learning it. It's a very simple thing. It's you press the start button, stuff flies from the edge of the screen and you get score for seconds survived. It's pretty much dodgeball, Lucifer. It pretty much is dodgeball. I think this will work. I think there are a lot of games that in VR they could be interesting. A dodgeball kind of thing in VR could actually be interesting. I think it would be suited to it. A little tricky as you'd really need to have good tracking unless you wanted it to only be if the ball hits you in the face, you know? One function height, maybe. No, func. Not function. It would be. And I mean, it's not out of the question that you would just have, when things were emitted, it targeted wherever your point of view was and lobbed it that way, you know? Okay. So on ready, it will hide game. Go main menu. Then in main menu script. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay. A base node doesn't have a hide. This game won't be published at all. This is just following a tutorial. This is one of Godot's, like, in their how to use this. You know, this is Godot's equivalent of Hello World. If I come up with other stuff, if I start making other stuff, I would definitely publish it to at least online initially. I don't know that. I mean, I might try Steam stuff. Not a terrible idea. Okay, so base nodes don't have hide. What methods do they have? Do this. Look at the signals. if it's a different type of node. Position, okay, it doesn't have that. Independent rendering. One of those. What do we got? Could it be a canvas layer? Let's try. They can't be. Okay. A sub viewport. Okay, okay. So what if we look at welcome back, Charlie. At this point, we're at the let's mess with stuff stage here. Let's find out if I can. Okay, main menu is showing. But when I click this button... Oh. Okay, so... should have... hide main menu. Show... game. And on game over, should have show hide game and show me menu. Okay, clicking the button is not triggering the start thing, the new game. We go over into main menu code and emit start game. Main menu, start game. Over here in the main menu, let's do on start button pressed. All right. Main menu is not triggering start button pressed. Why? No idea yet. This one won't get published, Charlie. This is just practice. As for other stuff, I don't know where I'd initially publish stuff. It's going to depend on what it is and how I feel about it. Might try things like, itch or Steam or any number of other things. Is it? Let me check. That's running. Check the feeds. Okay. Okay. That does happen now and again. All right. Why is this not due? Debug controls here. Okay, sub viewport doesn't have a hide method. Dang. I was hoping that would work. It does not. Okay. What could we do? Well, at this point, it's just throw things at the wall until they stick. How about a area 2D? Maybe one of those. Because that needs a collision box, and collision box isn't really what we want. Pop-ups are not what we want. Not a collision shape. Speed children. They can. That's pretty much the case, Charlie. It's coding is one of those things that you just need to do it. Initially, stuff you're going to do is probably crummy, but that's okay. You're learning. It's not until you get the idea of how the tools work and what you want to make that you're going to be able to move towards making it. And given time and practice, you're going to get there. Okay. Okay. Let's look at our scripts here. We'll go into main menu. Why is it not triggering? And this right here, this is a whole lot of coding. One donut. Thank you, Charlie. We go into main menu. Unbutton pressed. That should be triggered. Main menu never calls process, really. Score label has to stay in existence. Message stays in existence. But HUD shouldn't be visible. Because in the main scene, game is hidden. So this element shouldn't be visible, nor should this the way it is. Well, never feel like you're compelled to give donations there, Charlie. I definitely appreciate them. Every little bit helps, but that's not necessary. If you want to do it, then go ahead and do it. If you can't do it, don't worry about it. And if you don't want to do it, that's fine too. why are these elements visible? Yeah, okay. HUD is still visible underneath it. It's still showing, but it shouldn't. Oh, no, wait. Game, but game encompasses HUD. All right, all right. How about, where was it? Get tree, call group. Methods do we have available? So it looks like hiding a parent isn't hiding all of the children. And these are only the events I can do. Do. Have an API. Nope. Properties. Draw. There's a show and a height. All canvas items have a show and a height. Okay, but I can't set it to a canvas item. Yeah, I can't instantiate a canvas item. It's not an item. I could make it a node 2D. Let's make it a node 2D. button is still not getting pressed. It's not linked anymore. Still not triggering though. But why? As a signal is emitting. Oh, it's supposed to emit. Yeah. Okay, all those are still visible during it. So it's tile maps, not yet. If it's like that's not triggering, and I'm not clear on why. Yeah, this HUD element doesn't hide. Doesn't really change the problem. sequence of drawing is top to bottom. So the things at the bottom get drawn at the most foreground element, as the most foreground element. Let's switch to main menu, and we're going to run current scene. Go into our script here. Okay, it clicks when it's running that scene by itself. And that triggers the other scene to appear. Like, the other scene is still listening. We could instantiate and remove children. That wouldn't be a problem. Technically, shouldn't be a problem. That the game could, like, the main loop could create a main menu. But I'm not sure where that gets us ultimately. So look in the 2D editor, we can see main menu and HUD are there. HUD only goes away if we expressly hide it in here. We go into the main script. At ready, we hide the game and we hide the main menu. When we hide game, we can do... also hide the game's HUD. Okay, we're closer. The HUD expressly has to hide. I get the impression that these are not actually hiding with their parent, unfortunately. Implies to me that what I need to do is make a child scene. Yeah. Every one of these pieces probably should be a child scene. The same way that HUD and main menu are, I could make the actual game a child scene so that main is just coordinating which things show. The game could emit, hey, the game is over, so main detects it and says, oh, the game is over, I will now show the main menu, as opposed to it runs the game. Yeah. Okay, that will be the next time we approach this. That won't be until next week. We are going to call it for the evening in that regard. I'll probably mess with this a little bit and get it to a more usable state. This is kind of fun. I mean, fun in a, like, I can think like software development. I don't know how much fun you had watching. I hope you did. This kind of thing is as much a just chatting stream with code on the screen. I am, as you might have been aware, and I hope you were, I'm just as fine stopping what I'm doing and chatting during that kind of stream. But I would like to do more coding like that, so that I can start to get little programs going, little things going that I can add to the stream. There are a lot of little stream tools that are available for people, but I'd like to make my own things to show off. I've always kind of wanted a mini game running at the bottom that is something that I write, not something that is coded for streams in general. You see a lot of people using like stream elements and whatnot, or I'm sorry, stream avatars and the like, and I did before, but I'd like to make my own thing, entirely my own thing. That could be fun. I'd like to do some of that. Maybe just some whole games. It's get out there, do it, you know? Try things. But yeah, there will be more of this. It's a nice casual day. As for the rest of the week, on Friday, we're going to be continuing our Monster Hunter World collaboration. I don't know how far we'll get into it. I think we're at another master rank grind period. That'll be fine, though. Just mess around. Then on Saturday, it's back into the Pal World collaboration server. We'll be playing with a group of other streamers. See how things go. Then on Sunday, it's going to be more Apollo Justice Ace Attorney trilogy. And we'll see how that is. That one is shaping up to be pretty good. They're continuing the increase in quality that we could see over the course of the Ace Attorney games, and that we see in the subsequent games as well. That happened chronologically before, but, you know, things get weird when you look at the release schedule timelines and whatnot. But we'll be playing some more of that. I do plan on getting more of this in next week, and there's nothing stopping me from doing extra streams, but frankly, I usually take the 2 days that aren't scheduled for streaming and use them for catching up on videos and the like, which I will need to be doing tomorrow. So again, I hope you had a good time, everybody. If you like what you saw and would like to see more, remember to like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is on the platform of your preference, so that the algorithms know what you like and can show you more of it. Have a good night, and I hope to see you next time.